All right, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode. And we're going to get to it. I'm going to see if we can't finish the Murmur Letter this episode. I don't know if it'll happen just because there's a lot of complex little things here, but, we'll find out. Also, I'm going to mute my phone so that way you don't have to listen to all of the dinging going on because my D&D group is discussing how much trouble they're in tonight. Starting a new Or not starting anew. We have another session tonight, and we left off on quite a cliffhanger of them perhaps having stepped in it just a little bit last time, and they're excited, and I'm excited, and it's going to be a fun time as I try to kill them, and they try to not die. D&D is fun, although I guess technically we don't play D&D, we play Pathfinder, but it feels pedantic to point that out, so I'm sorry. Feels like one of those things that the only people who really obsess and find importance in that detail are people who have unreasonable amounts of pride in doing one or the other. Which is the reason I say it seems pedantic and ridiculous is because ultimately it's like, hey, are you guys playing a game and having fun? If the answer is yes, then who cares what it is? That's the reality of the situation. Although I will also say we were previously playing D&D, and we switched to Pathfinder when the whole, like, free use debacle, or fair use debacle of, like, the stuff, where they were, or the Creative Commons license, I guess is what they call it, where there was that whole situation where there was, like, the scare, the threat that was going to go away, and then D&D, like, had to backpedal on all that kind of stuff. And, like, the general, at least like the consensus when I was still paying attention to all of that was kind of that, like, Hasbro didn't really understand the nature of the IP that they had acquired when they got their hands on D&D, and they kind of got a little greedy and wanted more stuff. And our group, we like, it, as far as I understand it, it's kind of all calmed down and didn't really amount to much. But for my group, we kind of were like, that kind of just gives us a little bit of a clue about where the priorities lie and where the powers that be sort of intend for this to head. So we kind of just took the attitude of like, let's just switch to Pathfinder. That seems like it's going to be a bit more stable. And that's what we did. And so we play Pathfinder now. And it's really fun because I opened this up by saying it was pedantic to describe and talk about the difference, like the differences between them. And now I've been doing exactly that for like 5 minutes. So, go me. I really don't like that it doesn't let you move like side to side when you're on the ladder. It kind of locks you in. Like, what am I, not allowed to lean when I'm on a ladder? Oh, is that poor safety? Is OSHA gonna get mad at me? I'm underwater, man. Okay? I'll just float. I'll float down gently if I fall. Okay? Just let me do what I want to do. Huh? Did you ever think about that one? Game. Yeesh. Guy, this friggin' guy, am I right? Oh, okay. In case anyone didn't catch on the sarcasm, please don't ever lean over when you're on a ladder in real life. It's remarkably dangerous to do. And it's one of those things where it's like, it's not the kind of dangerous where it's like, oh, if you do it, it's like you're only seconds away from exploding into a fine red mist that they'll have trouble piecing together for your coffin. Like, it's not one of those situations. It's just one of those, like, if you're not careful, like, and you're leaning, that opens up the potential avenue for you to fall down. Right, but it's like if you're careful, maybe it's okay. Like in reality, that's kind of more the realm of it. But it's like, it's also one of those things where it's like it's okay until it's not. Right, because it's like you might do just fine balancing, on a ladder that's leaning or tilting or whatever you're doing with it. You might be totally fine, at least for a certain amount of time. until you fall down and crack your skull on the sidewalk or something, and then suddenly you're very not fine. So the reason I pointed out is like, don't be lured into a false sense of security. I feel like there are so many things in life that so many people do exactly that. Like they let themselves feel safe in a situation that really you're not actually safe in, and that's how accidents happen. Like a really good example of one of my biggest pet peeves, and get ready because I might end up ranting about this for like an hour, is driving and like speeding in particular. Speeding's fine until it's not, right? Like people will speed, go 5 or 10 over, and everything will be fine, and it'll seem perfectly fine. Maybe they'll go a little faster, but one day they get in an accident and suddenly things aren't fine anymore. So it's like, you know, take safety precautions seriously, I guess is what the moral of the story is. I've known so many people. I remember one time I had to go into an urgent care for like strep throat or something. I don't remember what it was, but the guy in the bed next to me fell off a roof and like threw out his back as he wasn't properly secured. Sorry, I took a sip of my lemonade there. He wasn't properly secured and all that kind of stuff. You know, I've known people who've been in car accidents. Some people it was their fault. Some people it was very much not their fault. In all of those situations, it did not pan out particularly well for anyone involved. Car accidents are bad. They're insurance nightmares. Just be safe, you know? Be patient. Take the time. Wear your helmet even if you look like a dork while you're doing it. You know, things like that. It's just like, I don't know, everyone's free to make their own decisions and all that kind of stuff. Don't get me wrong. If you don't want to wear your helmets and all that kind of stuff, that's fine. Just recognize that doing so is a risk. And there are probably people in your life that love you enough to be pretty upset if that risk turns into a negative outcome. Right? So, I don't know. I'll try to stop preaching about it because, like I say, I can go on that rant for hours. Like I say, particularly the driving one. Maybe one of these days I'll let myself get all worked up here while I'm recording about driving because I can get going on rants about driving to give you an idea about where the direction of that conversation might go, right, or that rant might go. I am absolutely that guy that drives like just like stubbornly. I will go the speed limit. I won't go slower, but I definitely won't go faster either than the speed limit. I love to set my cruise control at exactly what the speed limit is and just stay at that speed half the time with my foot hovering over the brake. So that way when some ding-dong inevitably takes a left turn in front of me or cuts in front of me during a bad merge because they didn't check their blind spots or whatever, I'm prepared to handle it. So, you know, you can infer from that what my take on vehicular safety would be. Which really just kind of amounts to, like I say, slow down, take your time, get where you're going safe. Don't try to be cool, don't try to get excited about going fast. You want to do all that kind of stuff. They have track days at most tracks that you can find in most cities, right? Exactly for that. The whole reason they do those kinds of things is to keep people that want to race off the streets. So that way, you know, you don't run over a school bus full of kids in a school zone or some nonsense like that. Like I say, driving recklessly is fine until it isn't. It's one of those things where it's like you can think that you're doing just fine. Maybe you are for a while until that one day that someone misjudges how fast you're going because you're going faster than the speed limit and they pull out in front of you. And nobody wins in that situation. Everyone's miserable at that point in time. There's no winner in a car accident. There's only the person who lost and the person who lost and it's their fault. Those are the two people in most accidents, really, when you think about it. Anyways, I don't know. It's kind of a dark topic. And we're sitting here just cleaning. How many times have I said that this series? Anyway, I'm sitting here cleaning off a fictional cartoon environment as if I were in the world of SpongeBob SquarePants. Just talking about serious issues. Sometimes I feel like we don't talk about serious issues enough, you know what I mean? There's kind of this culture around it being rude or poor manners or just generally being a Debbie Downer to spend too much time talking about bad topics and stuff. But at the same time, sometimes I wonder if one of the reasons why topics do stay so bad or taboo is because we don't discuss them and explore them and, properly analyze and deal with them. I don't know, not to say that everything needs to be talked about in excruciating detail, but sometimes it helps to discuss things, and sometimes it's good to do that. And you can do it casually. You can do it with humor. Lord knows I've discussed difficult topics with levels of humor that other people have found inappropriate during the conversation. Very guilty of that one. I use comedy to handle complex emotions. It's a good buffer for, when you're trying to work through complicated things. If you can have a bit of humor in there to make it a bit more approachable, well, it does exactly that. It makes it feel approachable. So, go ahead and crack wise about it if you need to. Okay. No one gets to tell you what's a right or wrong way to grieve or work through complicated emotions or something like that. I mean, maybe there are some ways that are better than others. Like, maybe we can go ahead and agree that, like, if you're grieving, the death of a parent by going out and killing other people's parents, that's probably wrong. That's probably not the way to go about doing it. Even if it was grief induced, like, that's not cool, man. Don't kill other people's parents. Was that for PSA? Watching TV one night, suddenly you just see a little ad come on. It's like, like one of those the more you know things. It's just like me standing there. Like, so, came home from your mom's funeral. It was a rough day. Not quite sure how to process all of this new information. This new way of life. Being that you've lost a parent. So, you sit down, maybe have a beer or two, and you think to yourself, hey, I'm depressed because I don't have a parent. Why should other people get to be happy with their parents? Then you go, on an axe murdering rampage. You kill everyone's parents, right? Suddenly, life is different. Not just for you, but for everyone else. Don't kill other people's parents. The more you know. How's that? Just like that? Is that dark humor enough? Anyway, my mom died last week. I'm kidding. She did not. My mother is very, very healthy and alive, thank God. But I guess to the point, though, like, God, that got really dark, even for me. But to the point, like, it's like, I got used to kind of doing those types of humorous things, when it comes to, like, parents and stuff. When, my mom was diagnosed with cancer a while ago. She made it through, and she's doing quite well, thank goodness. Doing quite well in remission. We're all very, very thankful and very happy that we still get many more years with my mom. But, it's just like, that's how I deal with those things. Like, I say the dark, horrible thoughts with a twist of humor to make them more approachable. Because, like, I know in my brain I'm going to have them one way or another. Like, it's going to happen. I can't stop my brain from going there. That's just how my brain works. My brain tends to overanalyze things, so when things are bad, it will overanalyze the bad things. It's going to do it one way or another. But if I add humor to it, if I make it an intentional joke, then suddenly I feel more in control of it. So I feel more in control of my emotions, and it ends up being a better way to go about processing it for me. That's just for me. I'm not saying everyone should make parent death jokes when their parents are horribly ill. And if your parents are ill right now and you're sitting here thinking, like, why are you talking about this? I apologize. It's like the time, this was years ago now. A lot of years ago, really, when I think about it. Golly, how many years ago was it? It's got to be getting close to 10 years now, which is wild to think about. But at any rate, where I'm going with this, I had an uncle who committed suicide at one point, and I know, like, algorithms are going to slam me for saying that word or whatever. I don't know. I don't really pay much attention to how algorithms work. I just have the energy or the time to care about it. But at any rate, my uncle, he committed suicide, and the whole family was kind of all grieving in their own ways. And then I As it turned out, it was too soon. People were not particular, like, people didn't get mad at me, but it just made things kind of like awkward and uncomfortable because he did it. He did it via gunshot, and we were sitting there just like telling jokes at a family gathering. It was like, if I'm remembering, it was like the first family gathering without him, right? Like, well, the first family gathering without him that wasn't like, you know, like a funeral, like, dealing with the loss of him. And we were sitting there and we were just like telling puns back and forth. And then I made the one, I was like, geez, put a pun to my head and pull the trigger. And then like everything got really quiet. And I was like, oh, too dark, too soon? Okay, well, I didn't say that part out loud. I just kind of let the moment awkwardly pass. But it's like, to me, I was just like acknowledging like, yep, that's just something that happened. And, this is our reality with that having happened. But everyone else wasn't quite on the same page as me. So I learned in general to give it a lot more time before I do that kind of stuff. Which is why, as I'm recording this on September 11th, I will not be making any 9/11 jokes today. I will simply be alluding to the fact that I could be doing them right here and now. It's dark. Has it been enough time? I don't know. There's probably something that's dependent on each individual's experience with it. Remember, I was in... Yeah, here we go. Here's my in memoriam. I was in 4th grade when it happened. I was a little kid. And I remember that the teachers at my school had all sort of collectively decided not to tell us students because they didn't want to cause any sort of panic or fear among the students. So, like, it happened mid-morning, and I didn't find out until I got home from school that day when my parents told me. And that was a very surreal day in my life because I'm going home at the end of the day, had a great day at school, feel like I remember trading some Pokemon cards with a friend at recess or something. Pretty stoked about that. Happy-go-lucky kid. All the innocence in the world. And then I go home and I watch a video of planes flying into large skyscrapers on repeat for the next, 8 hours before going to bed. So, that's the legacy right there. Moral of the story is terrorism's bad. See, that's what I mean. Dark humor. I don't know. Maybe it's I'm not even gonna say maybe. It is wildly inappropriate. I recognize that it is. But truthfully, all of the things that happen to sort of encourage me to do that kind of humor and that behavior are wildly inappropriate. Using any inappropriate jokes to handle inappropriate topics that inappropriate people have done inappropriately to inappropriately hurt innocent people in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not intentionally, but that's the result. It's like I'm not gonna sit here and act like my uncle killing himself was an intentional thing to, attack me or really anyone else at the family. Knowing the circumstances, that just really wasn't what was going on with it, right? But it's like, at the same time, the result of it was it hurt all of us, and it's in an inappropriate amount because it's like no one should have to deal with that pain. Is what I'm saying here, but we did have to deal with it, and that's how I deal with it. Wow, this is a really dark episode. I'm just gonna focus on cleaning off all these goofy little cartoon buttons and dials now for a hot second. I shouldn't publish this episode. What a big disclaimer. Trigger warning. Super depressing crap all the way through. Don't watch if you want to be happy. This is absolutely going to take more than just this episode to finish the Murmelair here. I'm okay with that, though. This is such a fun game. I don't feel like there's a problem. Me trying to get a little bit of extra playtime out of it. There's more thumping coming from next door. I have no idea what they're doing out there. I really wish I did know. I'm kind of curious about it, though, because, it's one of those situations where, I don't know, for the past week or two, I feel like there have been a lot of people going in and out. And so I don't know what the situation was, because I know who the neighbor was at the time. Or not at the time. I know who the neighbor has been there. But I haven't seen him around. So it's like, I hope everything's okay. I don't know if he just moved out and they're using the opportunity to renovate, or if he was some sort of busted for trying to make it an apartment meth home, and now we're all gonna die because they're trying to make sure that there's not remnants of it there. I have no idea. And the thing that I've learned about apartment life is I will likely never have an idea. they don't really go advertising those types of negative things in apartment complexes, because the last thing they need is for me to like then go on Yelp and be like, great place, reasonable prices, meth labs in every other building, right? Like that's not the kind of thing that they want you to advertise. So they don't typically share a whole lot of details about that kind of stuff. The closest you'll ever get is sometimes they'll like release a note to all of us. They'll put like a note on our door that like says don't do whatever horrible thing that the person was doing. You know, it's like for the rest of us, it's like a reminder. Drug labs are not an approved use of your balcony. Things like that. Usually not quite that extreme. It's usually more to the extent of, remember, your balcony isn't supposed to be storage for stuff, so please get all of your garbage off the balconies so that our neighborhood here doesn't look like it is overrun by hoarders, which I actually kind of appreciate. It's not like I really want property value or care about property value. I'm a renter. It's not like I gain anything from that, but the flip side of it is I don't want the place that I look, or the place that I live, to look and feel like, you know, a garbage pit. I like it to at least feel kind of nice and lived in and, you know, homey to a certain degree. My personal take, maybe I'm asking a lot as a renter, but I always think of the community line. You're a renter. Like when well, it was like the context was when it was Annie breaks Abed's DVD and they go on this huge escapade where they try and frame the landlord, but in the process they find out the landlord has been like stealing and collecting everyone's shoes. He's just like a creep that likes feet, and like you get to the end of the episode and Annie's all concerned. It's like, what are we supposed to go on living with this guy that has a weird, creepy obsession with all of our feet? And the cop looks at her and she's like, honey, you're a renter. Be glad he's not into collecting heads. Look forward to owning a home. I think about that line a lot while I'm living in my apartment. Like, be glad he's not into collecting heads. Like, you know, a little macabre, but kind of got a good point. Okay, you know what? I'm not gonna play the game. We have a tool explicitly for this type of situation. Let's grab this here. Ooh. Oop. Doop, doop, doop. Make sure we're getting all of the stuff on the lips there that we can. See, like I see, we got that a little bit there. We're at that stage of at least the base here. Kind of the same with the computer console itself too. Although I'm thinking there's probably a lot more up there. Yeah, see, it's like that little lip there. I gotta get that. Almost doesn't even give me enough height to help that much, truthfully. Oh, come on. Okay, yeah, there is like still a little bit kind of stuck in there. And it's like, I don't know what part of the whole situation that stuff all is. Because, yeah, the computer stand, we're definitely at the point now where it's like, yeah, okay. We need to grab this. Really got it tucked in those crevices there. Ground. No, put it on the ground. Am I in the way? Stand. And the limitations that end up getting put on all this stuff here. If I like, or just like thread the needle, does that work better? Oh my gosh, this is immediately getting very obnoxious. But I guess. Yeah, see, it's like, what on earth is even left? The types of situations where it's like, can you just give it to us here, please? Please and thank you. I kind of knew, I guess I did kind of know that this is how it was going to end up being, right? With like, just these little, like with all of the different nooks and crannies types of stuff going on in this whole map here, where you're just trying to get all these annoyingly small bits of shmoo. There we go. There we go. Okay, so I know the console. it says there's still more that needs to be gotten from the console there. And so I'm thinking probably actually now is when I'll need to start using this so I can come up here. Yeah, that's where all that stuff is. See, now that one is trackable and makes, and it kind of at least makes a little bit of sense here. Like how I was missing all that stuff. Like that makes sense. There's a noticeable, you know, lip going on there. So now the question is, do I want to, I think I want to try and get the monitor case here as much as I can while I'm back here. I know it kind of flies in the strategy that I typically am using all the time of trying to get one thing after another. I should just finish the case if I want to do that, but I feel like the case is big enough that I'll, you know, not forget that I still need to get a little bit more from it. And if I come up here and get all of this stuff now, then I can hopefully be done back here. It's kind of where my thought process is here. Whether it's a good thought process or a flawed one, well, that's a different story, I think. But yeah, I might not even finish this dumb computer by the end of the episode today. We'll see. I'll keep going. We got, what, 5 minutes until we're at the half-hour mark? Good lord. We'll see. We'll see if we get it. I'm not hopeful with how slowly the case meter is going down right now. But I sure ain't quitting. Mama didn't raise no quitter. Mama didn't raise no quitter. She raised a crybaby. So I'm not going to quit, but I'm going to complain the whole way. In the next episode of Crybabies Doing Things, watch as Scott whines and complains about the fact that he still has to drive into the office once per week. A new show on NBC. How many seasons do we have planned? I don't know. Depends on how much money the show makes. That's actually more of the Netflix approach nowadays, isn't it? Netflix, how many seasons does it have planned? Well, we'll see if it is one of our highest grossing shows. If the answer is no, we'll cancel it prematurely. You know, before the show really has the chance to find its audience and make its stride. And how many shows does that happen with Netflix? Where they're like, hey, we're going to cancel this show because we're not getting enough viewership, and the reason they're not getting enough viewership is because the show's only been released for like 2 months, and no one knows about it because they didn't market it. Anyway, Netflix, if you're looking for another business manager, someone that can help you figure out why your shows don't sell, give me a call. I have a lot of opinions on this. I'm not saying they'll be helpful to you guys, but I do have opinions. You just described the entire internet. Now it's time for the airing of grievances. And I got a lot of problem with you people. One of the best lines in TV history, if you ask me. I quote that one all the time. And I feel like, you know, Seinfeld fans themselves will obviously recognize and appreciate the line. But in general, like, of all the lines, even among, you know, Seinfeld fans, communities and everything, I feel like that line doesn't get the appreciation it deserves because it's absolutely hilarious. Time for the airing of grievances. I'll go first because I've got a lot of problems with you people. I don't know, I'm paraphrasing. I don't know, that's not exactly how it goes, but it's just it's such golden dialogue. It's the type of dialogue that feels believable, but like is so good because no one ever in real life is actually that smooth at speaking to like be that clever and say that stuff out loud at a family gathering or whatever. And that's what makes it so funny, because you're like, with planning, you could come up with a line like that to say in real life, but off the cuff, no way. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say no way. There are plenty of people who are quick like that. You know, case in point being one of the best lines in Parks and Rec being from Chris Pratt just ad-libbing, talking about when Leslie was sick and he tried to quote-unquote Google her symptoms and found that she had network connectivity problems. One of the best things that's ever happened in TV. It's so good. There's an ad-libbed line too. Which super acquaintance would I be? Super good question, Patrick. I'd be the Quickster, able to travel vast distances at the speed of light. The Quickster is actually a good name for a superhero. I like that. What are we doing on time? Oh, good lord. Okay, I'm gonna get like the top of this, and then we're just probably gonna call it an episode. This is getting quite long here. Look at this. Look at how much stuff we still have to go. Good lord, we might still get like 2 more episodes out of this. I don't know how much is left of this monitor though. There actually isn't much left of the monitor. We'll let this one be a little bit longer, and let's just finish the monitor. I think that's what I want to do. I think that's how I want to do it. Whee! Yeah, we can just kind of do this. We're getting close. I think this will be appropriate. I think it'll be fine. I think I do need to grab the ladder though. Grab that. Yeah, there we go. That'll help. See, like, this is where the perspectives get kind of tricky, right? Because, like, you can't do a whole lot to change the perspective or, like, the angle of where the thing is, like, spraying from. And so you just kind of have to, like... So that's not what I wanted to do. Go away. Rotate it. Pressing... I kind of, like, know the general area of each of the buttons that I need for... the controls in this game, but I never know which specific button to press. At any rate, I forgot what I was talking about. Like, genuinely, I totally forgot what tangent I was on. Been sitting here babbling for too long. I want to know which came first, the definition of the word babble, or the Bible story, the Tower of Babylon. Right? Like, that's the Tower of Babel, right? Babel, however they pronounce it. I don't know. I'm not a religious scholar, but it's like, they're clearly related, right? Like the story about the tower of people trying to get to God, and God getting all like, oh, and then sending everyone scattering with different languages so that no one could understand each other, so they couldn't do it again, right? Being like the tower having the same name as the word that means to, like, say things incoherently that can't be understood, right? Like, come on, man. Clearly they're related, but I've not Googled, you know, which one's the chicken and which one's the egg before, so I don't actually know. I'm gonna sit here and pontificate upon it out loud as an amusing anecdote, because it would be weird for me to pause everything right now just to look it up. Maybe I'll try and remember to look it up as soon as I'm done recording this episode. Kind of funny how the human brain works, isn't it? It's like I know I've had that exact question and kind of gone, even if not out loud, I've definitely gone on that sort of tangent before about, like, you know, the word babble. I've definitely had that thought and tangent before in my life, but I have yet to actually look up and see how and to what degree they're related. It's like, it's one of those, I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, in the moment when whatever relevant thing that makes you think of it comes up, like, you think of it and you're like, oh, I should look that up, but then as soon as that situation passes, it just slips your mind because it's not actually all that important. It doesn't function for any reason other than just, like, satisfying curiosity, which is fine too. Like, don't get me wrong, I look things up and ask questions and stuff to satisfy, for no other reason than to satisfy my curiosity on the regular. It's definitely a thing that I do. So it's not like, you know, I'm going to sit here and try and imply that that would be a problem or a bad thing to do. But it's just kind of interesting, you know, how the brain can filter out things that don't really matter. Because that's the thing about it. It's fun and it's interesting, but it doesn't really matter at all in life. Like, you know, it's like kind of one of those, like, who cares things. Like, even among the religious people that probably care a little bit, they probably don't care enough to, like, actually really sit there and ponder it. I mean, they barely care enough about what's in the Bible to, you know, respect half its teachings, that kind of stuff. There's very much a culture of cherry picking in there. Yeah, you're right. That's right. You heard me. Shots fired. But I'm on the internet, so I figure it's a pretty safe bet that people are going to be cool with me taking pot shots at religion. In goodness sakes, people go out of their way to be mad at religion online. you know, no comment on if that's fair, reasonable, or not. Just they do. It's a pretty safe space to sit here and bash the Bible. Yeah, that's what I'm here. Come on. Come on, give me the clean. Give me the clean ding. Ah, there's that corner right there. Oh, come on. Oh, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. We already did that with another piece of this whole computer thing. Don't do me like this. Foul, cruel mistress of a game. I feel like as I'm seeing all of these little things here, maybe the answer is just to kind of make sure I'm getting all of these little bits here, rather than looking for like a large chunk of missed stuff. Might be enough. I mean, look at how close we are. Look at how stinking close we are. Nothing there. We can maybe get a little bit there. There it is. Good. Okay. Hold on. Let's see if there's any other computer-y things that we haven't done. Let me see here. What's the computer alarm light? Okay. Computer lever. Okay, the computer alarm light and computer lever. I gotta figure. Ah, so that's the alarm light, huh? There we go. Now we just gotta find the computer lever. Is this the? That's the computer lever. There it is. Got it. Okay, good. Good, perfect. Okay, and that's not too far over. All right, we're gonna call it an episode there, and then when we come back, we'll keep cleaning. Might take a couple more episodes to get all this stuff. There's so much gook everywhere, but we'll tackle it. We're gonna keep making progress. So thanks for stopping by. As always, I appreciate you. I love you. Have a good day, and take care of yourselves. Give yourselves a hug. Give someone you love a hug, and come back for the next episode of me spraying stuff down underwater. Okay, bye now.